Breaking into the scale up C-suite or staying there isn't about just working harder. If you spend time just grinding and executing and you don't take time to step back and ensure you have think and reflection time, you won't get there and you won't stay there. One of the key aspects of being successful in knowing what's quietly working against you is that kind of understanding that there are hidden preconceptions that you need to influence. And the only way that you can really figure those out is that you step back and have think time. Most first-time scale-up C-suite executives miss the mistakes that they're making in their first role because they don't leave time to reflect. So don't let that be you. The mistakes that you're making and when you don't take time to reflect, they don't show up in feedback. No one's going to tell you about them. Why? Because the higher up you go in an organization, you're at the top of the company. There's no one who is going to tell you these things. You're too high up in the company. These things that you're not reflecting on can stall and even end your time in that role before you even know what's happening. I've seen it time and time again. Previous great director level leaders hit that C-suite in a scale up and they've hit a ceiling and they can't break through to either get that first C-suite role or stay in the first one. Sometimes you see them even going backwards. So just in case no one has ever shared this with you, here is one of the biggest mistakes that most first-time C-suite executives make, those that are trying to get that first C-suite or when they've gotten into that role. It's this. It's so simple. It's not mapping out your next career move as soon as you start that new role. You just got promoted into VP, SVP, or C-suite, and you're not thinking about what role is next. Depending on the size of the company, it could be SVP, it could be C-suite, but it's really those upper positions. The question you need to be asking yourself once you take those roles is, first, congratulate yourself because you achieved your last goal. Take the moment and do that. But very quickly, map out what your next role is for your future self. I'm not talking about chasing the next thing because tomorrow you're going to get that role. I'm saying that you need to know what you want to do next after this role so that you can create a plan to get there faster. And most importantly, how you can maximize the current role you're in to get to your next objective. It could take 3 years, it could take 5, it could take 1, but mapping it out is going to help you personally. It's also going to help your company. If we think about it and we realize when we know our next step, we keep an eye out for that next goal, it really helps us prioritize what's important to do right now, which helps you personally, but also helps your company. Growing makes all of us much better in the role that we're in. Think about kind of how you did that to get where you are today. You reach that level, but you don't stop. You're still, looking for what's next. Many people, when they reach those upper echelons, they don't do that anymore, and it actually makes them a worse executive. It is also true that, the higher we achieve, the less clear that next level is, and so sometimes we ignore it and we don't map it out. But ultimately, we are responsible for defining where we want to go next in our career. No one is going to do that for you. We really have to own our own ambition and growth. At the scale-up C-suite level, the ladder is not clear. At any C-suite level, the roles are fewer, the paths are less obvious, and the stakes are higher. Finding the exact next role for you is the greatest leverage for you that you can have because there are very few positions that you will be uniquely qualified for. And when you find those unique positions, you're going to have greater leverage. You're going to get better packages. So when you take the time to map it out, it is so much better for your career. Let's be real. If you're not preparing for the next move, then you're not growing fast enough. It's just real. And therefore you stay in the weeds, you don't delegate as much, you're not learning, you get protective. And that act in and of itself is what stunts a scale-up's growth. And it's what is going to prevent you to get your first C-suite role or stay in that first C-suite role. Look at your last role. You became amazing at it while you prepared for what is next. At the moment that you were ready for the next thing is when you were the best at what you were doing right then. So now you need that same mindset to get and stay in a scale up C-suite role. Also keep in mind that the transition to a C-suite is different to what makes a successful C-suite. Your functional expertise is going to be what's going to earn you that first scale up C-suite role. It won't be what secures you in that role or even help you get the next role. You really need to transition into being a C-suite versus a functional leader. Your success at the C-suite is really the impact that you make to the overall business by being a value member of that first team, the C-suite team. And by knowing what to prioritize overall to make your company successful, not just your functional area. COO, CEO, GM, those aren't functional roles, which those roles are more than likely one of your next steps after your first C-suite role. Those roles demand that you understand the entire business because it impacts the trade-offs and the prioritization decisions that you were shielded from as a functional leader or an expert. Even at the VP level, you're not exposed to that. By defining your next move, even if it's 3 to 5 years away, it helps you focus your own growth. It will guide where you spend your time, what skills you need to develop and build, and how you're going to prioritize the work that's being done in your own division. Often first-time C-suites, they hold on to being that functional expert because in the beginning of a scale-up, you need that functional expertise and they don't grow, and therefore they actually stunt the growth of the scale-up and often they will get replaced. I'll talk more about that in another video. Just take my word for it that it is really one of the biggest mistakes that prevents you from getting to the C-suite or staying in the C-suite that you have. Your future success depends on what helped get you here, but much more on your continued growth. If you're not mapping your next move, growing beyond your current functional expertise, and preparing for the future, you won't just stall. You'll lose momentum. You may even go backwards in today's market. Who wants to do that? The C-suite doesn't have room for passengers. They really don't. Every decision that you make as a scale-up C-suite member shapes the trajectory of the company and your career. So if you're trying to get your first C-suite role, keep the one that you have and continue to grow in your career. Do you have your next move mapped out? Anyone that wants to thrive in the scale-up stages of companies, who plan to go ahead and stay in the scale-up stage of companies, have to be planning for their next move. It's what's going to help the company and you. Let's face it, one of the benefits of the scale-up stage is the speed at which they move and the financial rewards. Staying stuck will give you the worst experience in this stage of a company. My question to you is, what is your next move? If this video helped, please like and share with others that it may help. And if you have questions on this topic, please add in the comments. And if you're interested in content like this, follow me for more.